I'm Insomniac, and this is a coffee brew pipe, also known as Bripe. Okay, so Nathan Stewart sent me this Bripe a while ago, actually. I think subconsciously I've been avoiding reviewing it because, well, I think you're gonna see why in a few minutes. But it's time to get this thing done. So anyway, big shout out to Nathan Stewart for sending this in, much appreciated. So let's start with the case for the Bripe. And here it is. You can see there, it's actually kind of cool. It's like this felty, woolly, whatever kind of gray. You kind of expect some kind of really cool, like, hipster coffee contraption to pop out of here or something. Could even be a house for a little hipster.
This place is so small, you put the key in the lock and hit me in the ass.
But whatever the case may be, if you haven't seen one of these yet, I don't think you're ready for what actually comes out of here. What I can tell you ahead of time is don't use this in public if you don't want to get arrested, and don't use this in front of friends or family if you don't want them to have an intervention.
What you talking about, man? I don't do drugs. What y'all tell them, huh?
But, yeah, okay, anyway, let's take a look at what's inside it, and maybe you'll start to get the picture. Okay, so you open up the cool-looking pouch, and what do we have? Let's see, starts off with a vial, which, when you first get it, of course, this is empty. It doesn't have coffee in it. That might throw you for a loop, but yes, this is where you grind up the coffee. You put it in this vial here.
Possession of paraphernalia.
Then there's a 4-jet butane lighter. There you go. A stand. And then here's the Bripe.
Oh, hell no!
Or a coffee pipe. There's the pipe. This is a liquid thermometer. But yeah, there it is. That's the Bripe.
Ah, this is bad!
You put this back in there, put it on the stand. There you go. Alright, so that really doesn't look like a big deal, but you probably see where I'm going with this.
Drugs are bad.
Of course, the point of this isn't just to criticize how absolutely sketchy this seems, it's also to test the product. So, let's do that. It's actually supposedly pretty simple to use this. There's actually a video on there of the guy who invented it making some coffee.
Here we go, you ready?
And it seems to be as simple as kind of 1, 2, 3. So, you open up your vial, and you're gonna wanna put some coffee in there. All right. Of course, nobody specifies how much coffee. I just put it to the top of the little filter thing that's in there. That's step 1. Then you take some water. Just add some water. That's pretty simple. There's step 2. And then here's step 3, which is where it gets a little, a little sketchy. Let's get this going. Now you're supposed to do this for, I believe, 2 to 3 minutes, or, well, you're gonna wait till the liquid thermometer gets to 185. That's the temperature you're looking for. Alright, we're about there. Once it gets to 185, you're supposed to let it cool till it gets down to about 140 degrees. While I'm letting that cool down to 140 degrees, well, you can see there why I said you probably shouldn't do it in public or in front of friends or family who don't know what this thing is. They're probably going to think you're cooking up some drugs. It definitely looks pretty shady. Looks a little bit classier, because it's a fancier lighter and a fancier pipe, but yeah, definitely looks a little bit sketchy. On a more serious note, though, here are my criticisms so far before I taste the coffee. First of all, butane's not exactly cheap, and you're going to go through a ton of it, having to use this 4-jet butane lighter for 2.5 minutes in order to get that up to 185. Although that's the point of portability. I mean, this probably is the best way to do it in terms of heating up the coffee if you're, somewhere like on a mountain, which is where this guy talks about using this.
Sit anywhere on any rock at the top of any summit.
Secondly, the lighter, although it does a decent job of dissipating the heat, I mean, as you can see, I'm still holding it since using it that whole time. It does get pretty hot. And I think the biggest criticism I have with the brewing process actually isn't the lighter getting hot. This piece of cork around the neck of the pipe really does, shield your fingers from the heat. The problem is, unless you were like right up under the thing and kind of angled away from you, you definitely get a good amount of heat from the flame coming out of the lighter on your fingers. I had to reposition it multiple times to kind of get that heat off my fingers because I felt like I was going to burn myself. Not the biggest deal, and I didn't burn myself, but not exactly the most comfortable setup. Otherwise, I mean, the brew process really is simple. As long as you already have your coffee ground in here, you put the coffee in, you fill it up with water, and then you heat this until it gets to 185, which I have to say the little liquid thermometer that's on here is accurate, does work. And right now, as I'm talking, we're down to about 152 degrees. So yeah, the process is simple. So if the coffee's any good, it might be a cool product to use in private. All right, so we're down at 140 degrees. And one thing to note ahead of time, don't try grabbing it from here. That is still way too hot to touch. So you got to use the cork. And before I even try it, one thing I will give this credit for is that where you have to grab it there at the cork, it is actually very balanced, and even full of coffee and water, it is fairly light, and it's just really not a burden to use and maneuver from this piece of cork here. So, I'll give them that. So anyway, yeah, just below 140 degrees. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, it's coffee. And the filter does do a good job of keeping the grinds out of there. I'm not getting any grit of any kind. I'm just getting coffee. All right, well, here's what I can tell you, though. I mean, obviously, it's the most simple type of extraction there is. It's just the grounds in the water getting hot. It's not like there's any pressure to it or, there's really nothing to it. The coffee flavor itself is a little bit on the thin side. I figured it would be convenient in that it would make coffee, but I didn't think it was going to be the best coffee I ever had, and it's not. But it definitely does work, and it definitely does make a few sips of coffee pretty quick, so. Once you get to the bottom, you get a little bit of grit. But I guess at that point, it's because you're basically just sucking the grounds through there. Yeah, that's it. Now, of course, one thing I don't see mentioned in the guy's video, but I will mention here in this review, is that you're definitely going to want to keep extra water handy. Hopefully you didn't just have enough water on you to make that coffee shot, because you're not going to want to put this back in the bag or anywhere the way it is. It's full of a mess of ground coffee, and if you want to use it again, you're going to need to rinse it out, which if, you're on the go and you have some, water bottles or something on you, I'm sure it should be, I guess, as simple as just, pouring a little bit in there, swishing it around, dumping it out a couple times. But that's also the process you're going to have to use, before you put it in the bag to go wherever you're going to go. So if you actually are out and you're using this on a hike or at the beach or wherever the hell you'd use this thing, then make sure you definitely have some extra water handy, or else you're going to have to, wrap it in plastic or something before you put it in there, or you're going to get the inside of that bag a mess. See if I can show it to you on camera what it looks like after you've drank the coffee. Okay, so here are my thoughts on the Bripe after using it. It still looks ridiculous. As a gimmick or just a kind of cool, totally unnecessary, different way of making some coffee, or you're looking for a really unique gift for a coffee lover that is so ridiculous that they're gonna think it's actually pretty cool, then the Bripe actually does work and is definitely a cool product. Actually cooler than I thought it would be. I still wouldn't use it in public unless I explain what it is ahead of time before I use it in front of those people, but it actually does work and it's really not so bad. In terms of the practical application that the inventor was trying to sell these for, I don't think anybody's gonna actually take this seriously. So yeah, for a conversation starter or as a pretty cool gift for a coffee lover, I actually would recommend the Bripe. It's so ridiculous that it's pretty cool. Otherwise, if it's just you by yourself, unless you're not near any type of coffee place or your house and absolutely need to have a shot of coffee right now, it would probably be a waste of time for you. You can just make a shot of espresso or a cup of coffee or something at your house, or stop at any cafe or Starbucks or For some of you, Dunkin' Donuts, don't do that though. So it's a cool and practically usable gimmick for sure. I'm on the fence about it. Definitely works, definitely cooler than I thought it would be, but no practical need for it in the world of coffee making stuff. Well, if you have one of these insanely ridiculous products, leave a comment, tell me about your experience with it. I'd love to hear about it. In the meantime, if you'd like to see a lot more content here on Should I Drink This, definitely get to the link down at the top of the video description. Sign up at my Patreon page. I could use all the help I can get. You also get automatic entry into all of my giveaways, which do include coffee. So if you're a coffee lover, you could win some free coffee or coffee stuff. It depends on what I have going on in the giveaways at the time. Anyway, sign up at the link. It would be a big help. And I will see you all at the next review.